Hey YouTube, today we're going to be doing a little video here comparing old versus new in the 1911 world. And I love talking about 1911s, and I figured these two guns look very similar, but they are from different time eras, and it'd be fun to sit there and compare the differences in the two. But before we get started, I'm going to let you know that neither one of these 1911s are loaded, and they are clear, and we are clear to make this video. So what we have here in front of us is, here on top we have a Colt Series 70 Gold Cup National Match 1911, and on the bottom here we have a Cabot Guns S100 full-size 1911, and they are from completely different time eras here, and at their times of being manufactured, they were probably at the top of their game. They were probably the top of the line 1911s that you could buy. And what I'm going to show you here is how technology has advanced a little bit, and how modern technology has really taken over these 1911s. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this Colt up first, and I'm going to show you that it's not loaded. And this is a Colt Gold Cup Series 70 from around 1976, and at the time that this gun was manufactured, this is probably the most top of the line, highest end 1911 that you could buy. This is like buying a custom 1911 today, and I'm going to show you some of the close-ups of it, and we'll see if we can get these roll marks to show up, and you can see how shiny this beautiful finish is on this gun. But one of the signature things about this gun that sets it apart from about any other manufacturer out there is the finish that Colt puts on these guns. And I'm trying to get this light to show up how shiny this finish is on them, but it is unmatched. Colt was at the top of their game in the 1970s at bluing a pistol. So what is this gun here? This is a step up from the ordinary 1911, the government model, and this had a lot of features that the government model did not come with, so we're going to go through a couple of them. So to start off with, the biggest feature of them all is this one has adjustable sights on them, and I'll show you the sight picture on them, and we'll show you some views from the top. And these sights are fully adjustable for windage and elevation. And before this gun came out on a 1911, you just got iron sights. They were kind of like, they call them GI sights now, and it was really whatever they put on there, you just had to pretty much, compensate with your point of aim on them. And on the top of the slide, you'll notice that it has serrations on them all the way down the slide. That's for what that is to cut off glare when you're shooting this gun out in the sunlight. Helps out quite a bit. Now the trigger on this gun is completely different than the government model. It's a larger trigger, but it does have an adjustment on them, so you can adjust the pull weight of the trigger to an extent. So pretty cool. On the slide here, the serrations are offset at a little angle right here, as opposed to the original GI style, and it gives it a little bit more grip when you're going backwards right here. We'll flip the gun around and I'll show you that the ejection port has been lowered and lowered down and flared, and what that does, it makes ejecting the spent shell casings a little bit easier. And if you're shooting this gun very fast, there's much less likelihood of it having any type of malfunction on them. Now if you look at the front strap here, this is the first 1911 I know of that started putting any kind of check string on the front strap of this, and these are just little line serrations right here. And this gun, for when it does have muzzle flip that goes up, this gives you a little bit more grip, like if you're out shooting in the hot sun or something like that, gives you a little bit more grip on them, to help keep that muzzle tamed. It has walnut checkered grips on them. That was like a signature thing with Colt, and this gun works so smooth when you pull this thing back, the slide on this thing, because this thing was actually hand fit together in the Colt custom shop in the 1970s. This gun got a lot more attention, and they gave it a lot more love than if you just went and bought a regular Colt government model from the same time era. They hand fit the slide to the frame. It was just one man in there filing away and fitting everything in there. Everything in it works all positive. The thumb safety works real positive. It's one thing you got to look for in a 1911, and there's very little slide wiggle on this. And if you look real close, it's not bad here for being a gun that old. The actual slide the frame fit. Very excellent gun. This is what it was to have a custom 1911 in the 1970s. Now, fast forward, 50 plus years, and we're going to pick up this animal right here, and I'm going to show you that it's not loaded. So what this is a Cabot Guns S100. So this is a full-size government modeled 1911. It looks very similar to the Colt that I just showed you, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to point out a couple of the differences. This is about as high-end of a 1911 as you're ever going to possibly find in today's modern times. This gun is absolutely hand fit. It's cut from CNC machines. They're all exact and just put together with such perfection that it's just probably going to be the best fitting 1911 you'll ever see. Now, this gun was made famous, this company was made famous, and about 5 years ago they actually purchased a piece of meteorite and manufactured two matching 1911s, one left hand and one right hand, out of meteorite. And those guns went for a whole bunch of money, and that really put them Cabot Guns on the map, and they started making these guns, and they're 100% American made. So there's no parts inside this gun, including the wood on this stock, that has come from outside the United States. They harvest their own wood, all the hardware, and every piece is made in-house, and this is made from one block of steel. The frame and the slide are made from one block of steel, a matching set. So just an incredible process. Now, what makes this gun very unique is if you look at it, it just looks like an ordinary dull black finish on this gun. Well, that's not the case, folks, and that's what differentiates when you get a gun like a Cabot gun. So a lot of people would think this would be like a Cerakote finish or something like that, or kind of like an Armor Tough finish like the Wilson Combats do. That's not the case. Every Cabot gun is made out of stainless steel. So this gun's stainless steel, and it's going to be very resistant to corrosion or rusting or stuff like that. And what they do is it's called the black nitride finish, and what they do is they treat this metal with some type of chemical that actually turns it black. So this is not a finish on this gun, and it's absolutely amazing that you can holster this gun 1,000,000 times and this finish will never come off because it's simply not a finish on him. So it gives it that classic blued look of a firearm without having the wear and tear that would be associated with having this beautiful shiny Colt that from the 1970s. If you'd holstered this one 1,000,000 times, you're going to start wearing the finish off of all the high spots on this gun by putting it in and out of a holster. This one will never do that. So very interesting. Now we'll go into a couple of features of this modern gun. We'll start off with one of my favorite things, is this front texturing. So I showed you the texturing on the Colt, and they were the first ones to start doing that in the 1970s. Well, this one has checkering on them, and I want you to look very close about how exact the lines are between the smooth area and the checkered area. It's just absolutely a masterpiece how they do that. Most guns with checkering on the front, you'll look, the checkering kind of continues on because it's done by a file or a machine. This gun is perfect, and the same goes for the back strap. It's checkered on that, and if you'll look on the Colt, it just has the regular serrations just like the front does. Now here's one thing that's really neat about the Cabot guns. When you grab onto this gun, this has what they call the rhombus checkering. So it's kind of like a directional tire. So when I grip this gun and go to fire it, the muzzle is going to naturally flip up just like this, and this texturing is going to grip onto my fingers. But when I run my fingers the other way, it's going to be smooth. It's kind of like angle cut in here, and it won't show up on camera, but it's called rhombus checkering. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. It doesn't give you that very aggressive feel like some of the modern 1911s do now that really tears up your fingers if you're shooting like heavy loads through them. This one does not do that. It features a non-serrated trigger, and it has Cabot Guns signature 3 stars in the trigger. The front barrel has been flush cut and crowned, so it does not protrude at all. It's got a little Cabot star on the end of the barrel bushing there. Just an excellent excellent gun. If you'll look right here on top, the top of it is serrated just like with the Colt, and these serrations on the side of the slide are a little bit more aggressive than the Colt was. It gives you that little bit of extra grip when you're shooting this gun very fast. Now, one of the differences in this is this has a lot bigger beaver tail on them, because this is a more modern gun. So along with that beaver tail, you have to use what they call a commander style hammer. So when this hammer comes back, it will go all the way in to this beaver tail here and allow it to function. You couldn't use a regular hammer like this with an extended beaver tail on him, because it would actually hit. But this extended beaver tail hangs over your hand and keeps you from getting that little hammer bite when you're firing a 1911 very fast. It also has what they call a memory hump on this thing, and you'll look, this extends out a little bit, so there's no doubt that when you're grabbing onto this gun, your grip safety is engaged. If you look at the older Colt here, it's more flat, and whereas it's not a problem with me, if you were shooting in a competition yourself, you got to make sure a grip safety is always engaged on a 1911 when you're shooting it. So all the controls are a little bit extended, they're all serrated and a little bit larger, a little bit extended more than the older Colts on them. I'll see if I can show you a side by side here. If you'll look at this thumb safety right here on this Cabot Guns, it's a lot larger shell for you to rest your thumb on. The Colt is a lot smaller on them. Now, one of the things that makes this Cabot gun very unique is when you tear down a 1911, one of the most common things people do is put what they call the idiot scratch on them. Well, this slide stop has actually been machined and figured out by the engineers of Cabot Guns how to put a slight angle on this to where you press this thing in, it never slips off and it goes right into there, and you'll never see one of these with an idiot scratch. So this is pretty much idiot proof when tearing one of these things down. So this features Novak sights on them, and the sight picture on this gun, it has a white dot up front, and I'll try and get these to the line up here, but that's going to be your sight picture on the Cabot Guns. Now, one of the things about this gun that absolutely fascinates me about these Cabot Guns is how smooth they work. And folks, there's no way for me to demonstrate this on camera without you actually feeling it in your hand, but when you pull this slide back, it absolutely feels like it's on ball bearings. And I'm going to be quiet here and let you hear this. It's the smoothest feeling gun, 1911, that I have ever seen on a pistol. Some of the other features about this is it's got a little bit of a flare on the end of the frame right here. So when you're speed loading magazines in it gives it like a little bit of a chute to go up in, as compared to the older style Colts. It's just a little bit more squared off here. That's just more of a modern thing that people figured out over time. Now, as far as the triggers on these guns, I've often said that there is no gun you're ever going to feel that has a better trigger than a 1911. It's just a straight back, straight pull trigger, and it is the best design of any semi-automatic pistol there's ever been. Now, these both have superior triggers on them, and it's going to be really hard to compare them, but I'll show you the trigger pull. It's got that much take up, and it's probably got about a 3-pound pull on it. Very crisp, no grittiness or anything like that. On the Cabot Guns, the same thing. There's that much take up on the Cabot Guns, and it just goes off just like that. So they're very similar in the actual trigger pull, but it's hard to improve upon with the 1911 trigger. When I always rate 1911 trigger is very good and perfect. There's no bad ones on there. So as far as the slide, the frame fit on the Cabot Guns, it's going to have the Colt all day long. You can see how very tightly fit it is to the slide, the frame, and there's absolutely no wiggle on it whatsoever. But anyway, folks, I just wanted to compare a Cabot Guns new S100 full-size 1911 in black that is stainless steel with a black nitride finish to a Series 70 Colt Gold Cup national match in blued. Let me know what you think of this old versus new video, which one you would prefer, and thank you very much for watching my video today, and you folks have a great day.